start things off immediately by saying that if you have an Nvidia graphics card, you should update your drivers immediately because there is a security vulnerability that just got patched.
Multiple
And
vulnerabilities.
well, I think it's like the same kind of vulnerability, but it's across like different products and platforms
Okay,
that
fair enough.
Nvidia makes. So yeah, they have like, I got the list here. Okay, GeForce on Windows, Quadro and NVS on Windows, and Tesla running Windows. So three or four different types of products using Windows. Just update your drivers. You know, I'll get rid of whatever this is. And it says if left unpatched, the flaws could lead to denial of service, escalation, PF privileges, and local code execution. Doesn't sound like good stuff, but from what it says, none of the vulnerabilities can be exploited remotely and thus require a bad actor to have physical access to the system. So that's always good, but just to say, if it was like anything that would be out in public, yeah, just basically update your damn drivers again. Just a little heads up. If you have an Nvidia system, you know, Nvidia graphics card in your computer, just update your drivers. Okay, after that, we got Comcast offering low-cost internet to low-income individuals, families. So, with this, the main thing about this is, are you eligible to for this, okay? And this program, it's for families with at least one child eligible to participate in the National School Lunch Program, individuals and families receiving HUD housing assistance, low-income veterans who live in the service area of where Comcast is, and senior citizens in select markets. So if someone uses, if someone uses, Medicaid or welfare, this could be a good option you should maybe look into. Of course, if you had poor internet access, you're probably not watching this right now, but I'm just saying, like,
It's word of mouth. People
it's
will get it out there.
yeah, it is word of mouth. The service speed, it would be 15 down and 2 up, so nothing too great.
It's better than
But
But
DSL.
it's
well,
better
that's
than,
still not bad though. Like I know people now who have worse internet than that.
and it's $10 a month plus tax. There's no activation fees or equipment rental fees, which that sounds good if you're able to lease the modem and router for
Which means your
no
basically
extra.
means your $10 a month isn't going to turn into $20 or $30 a month.
You're not going to get
Right.
nickel and dimed on top of like what this is.
But then I hope that that also doesn't mean shitty equipment, because I feel like even those who pay for a rental is oftentimes really shitty equipment.
Well, there's an option to purchase a computer to go with this for 150 plus tax, and
It's super super basic. It
yes,
basically the only reason it exists is to give you a computer,
Something to use internet on.
something to use internet on.
you're looking at like a 120 gig hard drive or a 240 gig hard drive or something like that, and dual core processors. And from the naming scheme of it, they only one of them said i3 specifically in the title. I think
There's the laptop.
the laptop said i3. The other one, it just said Core 2. It made it sound like something that was like older than when they started the i3 i5 naming scheme, and that was back in like 2009 2010. I was a little freaky seeing that. And these are refurbished machines that they would be giving you for.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something to mention.
So
Also in this, there'd be access to free internet, training online, in print, and in person. I guess that would be more for seniors that
worth
don't
noting
have.
the two computers. One is a desktop. It comes with keyboard, mouse, and a 17-inch monitor. The other one being a laptop with a 12-inch screen.
Okay. And they're also offering internet training. I guess that would be for seniors that don't have younger relatives, because isn't that kind of like what we
I am
do?
all for that.
Teach people how to use the internet. Why not?
A wireless gateway for Wi-Fi with no extra fees, and access to 40 one-hour sessions of Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspot for 30 days. So, typically I would think like a normal cable bill, if you're just paying for internet, you're looking at paying 50, 60, $70 a month.
And
And
that's if you usually go with
if
like their least expensive package.
yeah, and hopefully if you're in a relatively competitive market where it's just a duopoly and not a monopoly, if you're paying that much, hopefully you're getting at least 100 down. And here you're paying $10 for 15 down, which if you live someplace where a Comcast was the only provider, this could just make sense if you really just wanted, basic internet access. 15 down, 2 up. I actually had that speed, I want to say back in like 2008, when I had a Wii U, not a Wii U, a Wii. I remember playing Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and I believe that's pretty much what my internet speed was back then. And I mean, as long as
I think
you're,
same.
it's fair. It seems fair enough. Uh, it's Personally, it would be a big step back for me if I was gonna go back to that.
Well, I
But
think especially in these cases, they probably don't have a ton of things hooked up to the internet. So there's not multiple computers, smart TVs,
Most likely
etc.
not.
Yeah, so I think that clears up a bit for in that scenario. Versus
it's
us, I
okay.
think we would have everything under the sun attached to it.
Yeah, for just to
Yeah,
say
it's the where I live now. It's
for $10, it just seems like you're not getting totally screwed. And because the thing is, I've been in dollar stores before, and a lot of what it is, you're not actually getting an actual good deal on the stuff. You're just getting a smaller portion of something that would be in bulk, and you're kind of paying actually maybe more for it for just a smaller portion. There's a lot of things in dollar stores that are like that. It's kind of the opposite of Costco to
Yeah, I know
me.
what you mean.
Costco, you buy in bulk and you get stuff for a good price. Dollar store, there's things where it's like you buy a smaller portion and the price isn't actually that good per unit, but the cost to get that small portion, it's could be more affordable, so
Exactly.
Mhm.
so that's kind of what I look at this $10 a month deal. But if you're in like a not so competitive internet area to begin with, if this is what it's like all over the place, I mean, that could be good still. If worst comes to worst,
It's a
that's
good
okay.
option for people who can qualify for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if somebody is already getting benefits from like Medicaid or various types of welfare, I mean, this is some other way to get satisfactory internet right here.
Did you already say what areas, or is it just all Comcast service areas?
It sounds like it looks like every Comcast area probably has some. I mean, you need to just contact, if you have Comcast in your area, you just need to contact them, see
Or
about.
go
Hello,
to
Comcast?
internetessentials.com. because
that is what it's called. Yeah, Comcast expands Internet Essentials nationwide. I guess they were testing it, and they decided to go national on this.
Cool.
Okay, so next one. Amazon wants to bring 3.5 gigahertz internet to America. Okay, so Amazon for some time now has been looking at ways to offer high-speed internet to the United States. Okay, and I guess to the world eventually, but here first probably. We know Amazon is working on putting satellites into space to offer high-speed internet from space.
similar to Starlink.
Right.
Actually, it's funny because when Jeff Bezos announced that he wanted to do this, Elon Musk immediately called him out on it and said, "You're a copycat."
They both have rockets now. They both have satellites. Jeepers.
He's literally stealing Elon Musk's ideas.
He's looking at his paper. Avert your eyes. Stop copying.
Okay, so Amazon seems to be looking to build out a wireless network on the ground using the 3.5 gigahertz band, according to an FCC filing. This would allow Amazon to offer LTE internet services or build an internet service to be used the Internet of Things. Amazon is asking the FCC for permission to start testing a citizens broadband radio services internet service in the 3.5 gigahertz band. The test will be conducted in Sunnyvale, California, and would run from August 19th till February 19th, 2020. This is on top of the permission to launch 3,236 satellites Amazon is asking the FCC for, so it can start building out its new home internet service. So they're they want a ground game for terrestrial internet, and they want satellite internet too. So it's there's two different fronts it looks like Amazon is trying to get into. And something that Jeff Bezos has some quotes here you could read. These are from early June this year. The goal here is broadband everywhere, but the very nature of having thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit is very different from geostationary satellites. You have equal broadband all over the surface of Earth. Not equal. It tends to be a lot more concentrated towards the poles, unfortunately. So it's strange. Jeff Bezos is saying you could be getting people on the poles could be getting better internet or something. I mean just he's saying that the satellites there's a tendency for the poles where it's not very populated. They would be getting pretty good internet after this.
I mean, there's research stations on the North and South Poles.
I mean,
we know that.
They deserve it. Those guys deserve it, man. I'll tell you that.
What else are you gonna do?
But you end up servicing the whole world. So it's really good. By definition, you end up accessing people who are under bandwidth, very rural areas, remote areas. And I think you can see going forward that internet access, you can see, okay. And I think you can see that going forward for the internet. Access to broadband is going to be very close to being a fundamental human need as we move forward. And this is why Jeff, he's the richest man in the world. He says it's also a very good business for Amazon because it's a very high capex or capital expenditure undertaking. So what he's saying is Amazon has so much money, they've been able to do this. There are very few fish, okay, there are very few big fish with enough money to actually do something like this. So
I mean, Elon Musk had already started doing it. He's already launched a bunch of satellites for
So
his Starlink system.
getting into an industry like this, it's so limiting by how much money you would need to be able to invest into it that
my question is
it edges out, it limits competition like right off the bat. You know what I mean? So we got Starlink, got Amazon wants a piece of this. I mean, what are some other tech companies? What is Apple going to want a piece of this or something? You know, it's like
possibly. Who knows?
Google is Google going to want a piece of this? I mean,
that wouldn't surprise me considering they did do Google Fiber. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Or it might reinvigorate Google Fiber, bring Google Fiber back to life. But honestly, like my question about this is, when would we see them start launching wet satellites? Like, for that matter too, have we ever seen like a Blue Origin launch? Like, have they launched anything yet at all?
Not that I know of or have heard.
Because, I mean, we're constantly seeing SpaceX launches this, SpaceX launched that, SpaceX launches this. Like, but I haven't seen anything about Blue Origin. We've seen a lot of speculation and a lot of him boasting about their rockets and about, here's our blue lunar lander that he unveiled for the competition that NASA's holding. And it's like, but they've probably launched at least one or two things, but my point is, though, they don't seem to launch things very often. So it's like, this is a kind of industry where it's like you have to do it frequently, get used to it and stuff like that. You can't just launch something once, call it a success, and just stop messing with it. I mean, even SpaceX, which has been launching stuff consistently over the last like 2-3 years now, still has fuck ups. They still lose rockets every now and then, and it's just
that's the point, though, to learn and then not have those fuck ups for your real runs, so you're constantly launching.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not seeing that from Blue Origin. That's
I think
my whole point.
Amazon has so much money that they have the potential to be the forefront runner, but I don't necessarily think that Bezos has the knowledge or necessarily the passion and drive that Musk has, because he's all like the forefront of just wanting to better technology, I guess, all around in general. But I feel more like Amazon's kind of like, oh, I just have money and look at me do things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it just seems snobbish.
Yeah. And literally we're just cliff noting exactly what Musk said about the internet. Like, it's not even an original speech.
Yeah. Thinking if they don't have people to do this effectively, it's like they could just like buy people and other, like they'll headhunt, you know?
Yeah.
They will
headhunt.
Surprise
me.
Okay, yeah, moving on. Okay, so there's a new Toshiba has created a new SSD form factor. Okay, that would be beneficial in laptops mostly. It's called XFM Express, and it's basically like okay. So like an M.2 NVMe drive, kind of looks like a stick of gum. That actually, I think when Zach mentioned that the form factor was similar to a stick of gum, I had never heard that before. And when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, it is kind of like a stick of gum. Well, this form factor, it is smaller, which is better for laptops and such, and it's more like SSD card size. It's larger than a micro SD card, and it's I would almost think of it like the size of like a micro SD card adapter, something that you would put the micro SD
like
card
a full size SD card.
Yeah, it's more like that, but probably smaller than a normal size SD card, and it looks like you're getting PCI 3.0 speeds, and in the future there will be 4.0 speeds. So you're looking at 4 GB transfer speeds.
Probably closer to 3 gig downloads transfer speeds, because that's
Yeah.
more the norm for 3.0.
Okay. Okay. So
Maybe like three and a half at most.
okay, I think that the 4 gig that's kind of like the upper limit of what it potentially can do, but it's never that fast. I guess that's one way of looking at it. Yeah, but it's just an alternative to the M.2 form factor, and they're saying that it's going to be more convenient. I mean, the thing is this going to be kind of like a Betamax kind of thing going on here? This form factor, is it going to be like that? Is it especially convenient? I can't really tell yet, but it is smaller, and it looks like you don't need to use any tools. Maybe you don't need to use a tool to install one of these
And
in.
you can easily swap them out, which was kind of like the whole purpose of it, because it's meant to be an alternative to soldered down SSDs that are common in laptops. So
I don't know. I don't even understand why they do that. Why do they solder shit like that? And just
I
that
don't
just
know.
kind of
I'm not a laptop manufacturer. I'm not qualified to answer
I
this
can
question.
only, as someone who who has built PCs before, I only have cynical reasons for why they would do that. So it's like, if something goes wrong, it's like you need a professional to fix it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's really what it kind of comes down to. I have very cynical feelings about when stuff gets put into a PC unnecessarily. So it's like just someone with a screwdriver can't just pop it open and replace something. So if something is soldered in there, you need like a whole different kind of enthusiast tool kit to fucking like do stuff. Okay.
Well, it might
Yeah.
have to do with the mobility of a laptop. You're like moving it, gets tossed around
Yeah,
sometimes. You
true.
travel with it.
But at the same time, though, they do a lot of before SSDs and stuff like that. They've had like hard
Screws are good
drives.
enough.
Like
Screws are good
that's
enough,
why we
man.
have the 2.5-inch hard drives, the thinner hard drives. Those are laptop hard drives, you know. But
I mean,
I
that's
mean,
the only difference.
I gotta tell you, man, 2.5 inch SSDs and hard drives, those are looking like gigantic compared to like M.2 drives. And
yeah,
then this is like size of your thumb.
that's why
Like
it's probably why they've moved away from them, to be honest, and to the soldered down SSDs, as well as a lot of laptops now offer like expandable storage via NVMe drives. So
okay, so when you're talking about soldering into the laptops, you're saying like they don't have room even for like screws and shit, like they gotta solder it in.
like
Like
no,
they
no, it's like it's an integrated hard drive onto the motherboard, like it's a chip on the motherboard of the laptop.
I don't know, that just seems like it creates more problems for maintenance. It really does. And it's like I think they kind of want problems eventually, so you buy a new one or something, or you come back to them
Yeah,
for
imagine like, yeah,
maintenance.
oh, your hard drive is corrupted. You're screwed.
Buy a new one or send it back, and oh, it's out of warranty. Jeez.
Yeah.
I am just anti soldering shit in there. Just I got like all these different Phillips head like pieces, drill bits, whatever. Like if I can't use these tools, bogus. It's just bogus.
But again,
So
this
that
is a solution to this, and it seems to be a decent solution to this, and I support this. Thank you, Toshiba.
anything that could just be modularly swapped out by users. I mean, putting in like a new, in this case, it's called a XFM Express. If you were to put like a different drive in there, it wouldn't be as easy as putting in an SD card, a micro SD card into like a card reader. That's very exterior. That's
Because it's still
something
inside
more
your
important.
computer. Yes,
Yeah,
you would still have to
it's
open your computer to get into it to replace it or what have you, but it's still a better alternative.
yeah. I mean, this versus soldering. If a company, in all their wisdom, thinks like, okay, we either have to solder in a M.2 drive or we
Well,
could
I
use
don't think they're
this.
M.2s. I think they're like literal like
Okay,
chips,
okay. You know
literal
what?
chips. Like they have,
I
you can expand it with an M.2. Like they have M.2 slots, but they're not soldering in M.2s.
okay, okay. You know what? You know what? When you're saying it's like it's soldered like right into like a some kind of PCI slot,
No, it's not a PCI slot.
it's not. It's like
It is
it's
literally like
actually
a
just part of the motherboard. Then.
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry if you've probably told me this like 3 times already. It's just like, why God, why would they do this?
Just can't wrap
Why?
your head around it. So like, it's so
Like,
dumb.
It is dumb. It's really dumb. Like just
I mean,
just
this is like game console shit. Don't do this.
just
Like,
install a fucking M.2 and leave it alone. Why do you have to solder a SSD chip onto the motherboard? Why is that necessary? Just like but that's the
yeah.
reason why laptops have gotten so thin lately, you know, like for example, Samsung's new Galaxy Book, which they just announced this week, it's ridiculously thin. Or the or Apple's MacBooks have gotten so thin, is because they don't have to deal with those internal hard drives anymore.
But at what price?
They have integrated hard drives straight on the motherboard.
Well, I think also the people buying these things aren't the people that are like building their laptop or building a PC.
No,
They're just
they wouldn't be, but it's like,
it's harder for them to be repaired, is what Ed's talking about.
yeah. I mean,
yeah. But then those are the people that are also fully prepared. They're like, I'll just buy a new laptop.
Okay, say you buy.
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm not saying it makes sense.
Yeah. I was gonna say you buy a laptop. You buy either a MacBook or a Samsung Galaxy Book when that comes out. These are like $1,000 notebooks.
Yeah.
Say your hard drive gets corrupted and you can't do shit. It's bricked after like a couple of months to a year.
Yeah.
You have nobody. You would literally have to send it in and pay Samsung or Apple to fix the problem for you, because nobody can fix the problem for you.
It'd be under warranty if it was just a couple months.
Well, so I know, but okay, say a year, say 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you gonna plop down another like $1,000 on one?
People do like.
That's so stupid.
Again, I'm not saying it's practical or that we should do it, but I think there's so many people who are not savvy in the tech industry, and they're just like, well, I bought a laptop, now my laptop's broken, crap, I need to pay $1,000 to fix it or buy a new laptop. And it is what it is. Like, it's so common. I'm again not saying
okay, here's something I would kind of related, but I think you notice that iPhones, like there's a lot of cell phones, maybe even like if there was like a
integrated storage.
Yeah, like there's no SD card slot at all.
Not
like
anymore for a lot of them.
They get rid of the headphone jack. They get rid of the SD card slot, and
power user phones still have SD card slots. Like for instance, the Note series again just got announced this week. Note 10. So phones like that still provide you with expandable storage, but yeah, most phones don't nowadays.
The thing is, it's understandable in some ways, but in other ways, it's just not. Because the thing is, the built-in storage, it's going to be more efficient. It's going to be faster. There's going to be less trouble with that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It's all built in there, and it just works. It should. And the thing is, when you're putting in like a SD card, there are like different classes of SD cards, so like people could get like the wrong one, like a lower rated one than what's used to. There's a lot of variation to like what's actually people are putting into their phone, and potentially they put in the wrong one, and then things malfunction, and then they people could blame the phone when it's the SD card. They didn't pick the right
Yeah.
SD card, so it's just there are reasons like that of why they would want the SD card slot, but still it's like
SD cards have gotten complicated over the last few years. Let me tell you that. But that's something we can talk about another day.
I was gonna say that sounded very like a personal story. You're very upset about.
No, like they really have. Like there's 3 different classifications you have to look at. You have video, audio, all this other type of different classifications for each card, and it's just like, yeah.
So, to summarize, Toshiba, they have a new form factor. It's their form factor, and I'm sure like every Toshiba laptop is going to be putting this in to their
No doubt.
computers, XFM Express.
Though at the same time, it's not going to probably be out for at least a couple of years, so keep that in mind. We probably won't start seeing it in laptops till probably like next year, because this is still something that I believe that they're still working on, or like just finishing up working on, and
it's another situation. It's like we've been tipped off to something that isn't going to be here for like another year or two.
But it's something interesting to look forward to.
Absolutely.